Hey, Mr. James here from Charm City Karate. This is our chat from the mat, and this week we're talking about Indomitable Spirit. Indomitable Spirit, like we said before, is not willing to be beaten, not going down, not stopping, no matter what the obstacles are. So week one, we talked a little bit about how that's kind of like being stubborn in a good way. So this week, we're talking about how sometimes to do that, you have to be willing to think outside the box, okay? Every now and then, you're going to run into a task or a problem that is so hard or so big that you just feel like you can't do it. Or maybe it's true that you can't do it. Sometimes you can't do something alone. You've got to ask for help, okay? And you're thinking, oh, I've failed. You haven't failed, okay? Asking for help or assistance or answers to a question, it's not failing. Failing is when you quit. That's failure. Asking for help or answers to something, that's not failure, okay? That's not quitting. Quitting's when you're like, oh, can't do it, bye, see you around. All right? As a nice illustration of this thinking outside the box, there's a story that I've always thought was kind of funny. Well, since I heard it anyway. It's a story to illustrate it. All right, so here we go. Back in 1916, I've got some notes because I'm terrible with dates. A Chicago newspaper printed a long string of insults calling Henry Ford, you know, the guy that invented Ford motor cars. Yeah, might have even invented motor cars. Gets credit for inventing the assembly line, too. Not sure if he did, but he gets credit for it. Anyway, they called him an ignorant idealist, incapable of thought, a bunch of other stuff. Basically, they were saying he's not as smart as he says he is. He's stupid, blah, blah, blah. He got tired of it, so he sued the newspaper for $1 million. Now, it's $1 million back in 1916. I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess that these days that's closer to $1 billion in our money. It's a pretty big lawsuit. So they're in court. At one point, Ford takes the stand, and an advocate for the Chicago Tribune is getting ready to demonstrate how much he deserves the label ignorant. Right? He's a stupid head. So Mr. Ford gets asked a series of basic questions relating to American history and his own political activeness. So like they're asking him, who did you vote for? Stuff he should know. Ford's wrong answers included believing that the Revolutionary War happened in 1812. Benedict Arnold was a writer. Okay, so the lawyer's laughing. Like, you know, Henry Ford's proving his own point. He's like, you are stupid. So then Ford gets tired of this guy. And he says, listen, sir, if I need to know any of these questions, any of the answers to these questions that you're asking me, I have a machine in my office with buttons, and I press the button, and a man comes into my office that isn't my employee, and I ask him, and he gives me the answer to the question. I have many of these guys. I'm much too busy to remember all of this foolishness, okay? So what he's saying is, he doesn't need to remember this stuff. He has other things to do. Obviously, this is a guy who's thinking outside the box. He doesn't need to deal with this stuff. So he has other ways to get it done. You see? And he obviously does not think that asking other people is a failure, because that's how he does it all the time. All right? And if a guy like Henry Ford can consider asking other people for help or asking them the answers to their questions to not be a failure, then so can you. Okay? It's cool to ask for help and ask questions about stuff, especially if it helps you get your task done. All right? I'm Mr. James from Charm City Karate. This is our chat from the mat for Indomitable Spirit and thinking outside the box. See you next time. Have a great day.